Although witchcraft is often seen as highly aesthetic or super ritualistic, the reality for many witches in practice is a little more chaotic. In this video, we are going to talk about neurodivergence in witchcraft, specifically ADHD, and I'm going to give you my 4 top tips for building a practice that works with your unique, brilliant brain rather than against it. This is so that you can feel empowered to practice consistently without shame, without comparison, and without just putting in the motions. Make sure you watch until the end because tip number 4 is my favorite, not only for neurodivergence, but for everybody who practices magic and beyond. Hey everybody, Mandy here. If you are new here, I am an author, I'm a spiritual empowerment guide, and I have a scorching case of ADHD. Now, if you're watching this, odds are you might also be neurodivergent as well. And so if you are, I want you to drop your experiences, the things that help you, the way that this influences your practice in the comments so that people who are watching this, people who are reading those comments can feel more seen and less alone. Now, witchcraft is for everybody and neurodivergence is really no exception. Now, with the rise of Instagram witches, TikTok witches, like really these social media presentations of what a person's personal practice can look like, it can lead to some of us feel in some type of way, particularly if it looks like we're looking around and other people's practices seem more consistent, more organized, more highly aesthetic than ours do, right? This is where we can get that kind of like spiritual imposter syndrome creep in, and that is never going to be a healing force. That is always going to be something that just leaves us feeling, frankly, like shit. When this comes up for us, it's really important to remember why we feel called to magic in the first place, right? Usually we are looking for a system of relating, a system of connecting, a system of understanding that is very unique and personalized for us, right? So in that way, witchcraft is such a beautiful source of self-care, of healing, of growth, right? And so it really shouldn't be yet another space where we feel like we're falling short or failing at the things. If you come away with anything from this video, I'm hoping that it is to view your neurodivergence, view your unique, brilliant brain as more of an enhancer to your practice rather than a detriment. So tip number 1, give yourself permission to drop the memorization. So when you start practicing magic, there's a lot of things that you're gonna feel called to learn. There's a lot of things that you're gonna want to learn. Herbal correspondences, crystal correspondences, moon phases, like there is no end to the things that you might want to learn. And some of these systems are so big and so complex that you're not going to learn them all quickly. So executive dysfunction is a really core symptoms of a lot of different types of neurodivergent. And so it's really important to understand that this can manifest in a lot of different ways, including poor working memory. So an absolute game changer for myself personally has been to find the places where I'm like really bumping up against having to like learn or memorize things. I know as somebody with ADHD that if I want to learn something, I can go into a hyper focus hole. So it is possible. So if I'm finding myself not connecting and I'm bumping up against something too often, just give yourself permission to drop the memorization stuff, right? We've got crystal books, we've got herb books, we've got all sorts of resources. So give yourself permission to use them and drop the pressure. Ultimately, you're gonna find that the memorization piece is going to come kind of naturally as you go through your journey. The things that you connect with, the things you use often, it's just going to happen organically. The next thing is to increase novelty and play. So people with neurodivergence, specifically people with ADHD, can be little dopamine gremlins. Ask me how I know, where we're just trying to extract any sort of fun, any sort of good feelings out of really anything that happens to capture our fancy. Now, this is partly why I really advocate for using your practice as your spiritual playground. You know, as grown-ups, we're kind of not encouraged to play and have fun, and I think that that's utter bullshit, obviously. And this is part of the reason why we created our membership, our seasonal membership, the Feral Self-Care Collective, because we wanted a way to help people practice weekly with a lot of novelty, with a lot of creativity, with a lot of play. So in this membership, we meet weekly. Typically, we have live sessions. We do things like, you know, creative artwork. This is like a little collage that I did in the collective when I was facilitating a session. We've done things like finger painting. We do active imagination. Like, we do that deep inner work, but we do it in a playful way and a novel way. So each season we have 6 guest speakers, which means that there's more people to learn for, more perspectives, right? So I think bringing in that novelty and play into your practice is ultimately going to ensure that you are practicing more consistently, right? Because the things that are fun are the things that are going to be motivating to actually do. And the magic you're actually doing is always going to be more effective than the magic you're reading about or just thinking about. Your practice should be your spiritual playground. So get out there, get your hands dirty, try things, play around, experiment, like have fun with it. Tip number 3, simplify your practices, right? You don't need like a 24-step morning routine. You don't need things to be so crazy, highly ritualistic, unless that's something you feel called to do. Just give yourself permission to drop all the craziness. Human beings have this tendency to add things onto a problem rather than taking things away. And around here, we are all about making things simple, making things actionable. This is what guides all of my work, from my books to my decks to my membership to my one-to-one sessions. Like, this is really the thing, because again, doing things is what actually moves the needle. Taking action, playing around, figuring out whether something speaks to you or not, figuring out whether it works or not. You don't get that information passively. You get that information by getting your hands dirty, playing, and having fun. Now, a good example of simplifying your practices would be my relationship with bath magic. Now, some of you guys know, some of you have taken my bath magic courses, that a lot of my practice actually happens in the bath. And part of the reason for this is because of this rule that very much governs how I approach my own practice. So it can be hard to find the time to do your rituals, but we all have to get clean, right? So this is a way that I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Also, you can make base recipes for your bath spells, like bath salts, bath oils, that sort of thing, that you can customize with different herbs, different moon phases, etc., in order to just make it even easier, even simpler for yourself, right? Because we always assume we're gonna have more spoons available than we actually do in practice often. Now, tip number 4 is my personal favorite. Do not be sleeping on this tip because it's so fucking important, you guys. Do not outsource your authority. If you do not connect with or understand what you are doing or why you are doing it, do you think you are going to feel connected with your practice? You can drop it in the comments, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's a no. It's a resounding no. So if you don't connect with or understand what you're doing or why, if you don't vibe with it, chances are you're gonna have a really hard time feeling motivated to do those things. And often when I work with people in sessions, this comes up a lot. I see it in Facebook groups too, where people feel disconnected from their practice a little bit. And typically that emerges from a space of putting in the motions, right? Doing something because you heard you had to do it that way, or doing something because it was written that way in a book, but like really there's not something about it that really speaks to you, that really calls to you. By similar token, I see the question come up a lot, like, oh, I felt like for example, my pet passed away or something, and I felt called to do this ritual or this practice or this activity, but I'm like wondering if that's the right thing to do. Don't outsource your authority. If you feel called, answer the call, explore the call. Even if it doesn't work, even if it's something you don't end up feeling like you really liked, you aren't gonna have that information until you listen. Now, the best way to get your intuition, your inner knowing, whatever, to stop speaking to you is to gaslight yourself out of actually listening to it. So please, Let us not do that. You are always going to be the foremost expert on yourself. And because witchcraft and spirituality is so deeply personal, so deeply unique, you are always going to be the expert or the explorer, the person who maybe doesn't know but goes out and figures it out, feels it out, see how it goes. This is your divine right as a witch, as a human being, and like, you need to fully take advantage of it. Don't outsource your authority. So the truly incredible thing about witchcraft is that there's never, ever, ever a reason to box yourself into a corner and then like rot there. Okay, we're not going to be doing that. Your practice doesn't need to look like or sound like or feel like anybody else's. This is about you. This is about your self-care. This is about your deep connection. This is about your inner growth work, your magic. You are the magic. You are the spell. If you are drawn to green witchcraft one week and then tarot the next and then astrology and you feel like you're bouncing around, don't succumb to imposter syndrome. This is a research phase. You are learning, you are playing, and you are taking action, and that is truly the most important thing. The most important thing. This is your magic evolving, and there really is no need to overthink it, overanalyze, or compare. And your practice can be a place where you can come to terms with your neurodivergence and what a superpower it can be, what an enhancer it can be for your magic and for your craft. This can be a really great way to find self-acceptance that maybe felt missing in your life when you were younger, maybe before you were diagnosed, or maybe before you kind of learned a way to cope with it. This is where your unique neurodivergent neurospiciness can actually shine and become a place to add some personalized, unique flavor and really fun, motivating action to your practice and to your craft. So feel free to drop me your neurodivergent witch tips below. I would love to hear them. I'm sure anybody that drives by this video that might be like peeping on the comments would love to hear it as well. And please, it is so helpful to us if you would like this video, if you would subscribe to my channel, and if you would take a look around at the other things we talk about here. There's also a freebie in my bio below, so make sure to check that out. There is a guided meditation. There are 3 quickie actionable practices, and I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I think you're gonna like them. Until next time, happy magic making, friends, from your psycho spiritual bestie.